What's going on, everybody? It's Blighters, and we are back because, well, Blizzard did it. They decided that the .5 patch, they're going to actually rework Guardian Druid and the Druid class tree. So, I was going to not make another video until I started recording dungeons today, right, for the Zero to Hero uh, series that we're getting ready to do. But I figured I had to come on and talk about this with you guys. Share my thoughts and my opinions. So we'll start. We'll start with the class tree. Right here, we're just on Wowhead, and they have this on their talent builder in the PTR, so we can look at it and kind of play around with it. So big changes. What did they do? They moved Sunfire up, so it's no longer down here that we have to like feel that we taking it, that we have to take it, right? They moved some points around. They removed Killer Instinct and Nourishing Instincts, Nurturing Instinct. Why I said nourishing. They put it down to 2 points instead of three, so that's good. We have a little bit more points to play around with. They add some more connectivity in the tree, which is what we needed. They added this new Forest Walk talent. So like when you cast Regrowth, you get a movement speed and a healing increase percentage. So when you cast Regrowth, so yeah, that's kind of cool, kind of interesting. Maybe in like a single target play, if you play like Protector of the Pack and like Dream of Scenarios, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if you'll necessarily use it, but it's nice to have new things that might be super niche that like you can use at some point. Not on the tree anymore. We'll hop over to Guardian real quick just so you can see, just so I can make this point. You don't see Ursine's Adept anymore. They moved it to baseline, which is really good, and then they added Innervate to it, so we can cast Innervate in bear form, which makes this have some utility, right? You can have another Innervate in your raid now, so it's a little bit, but it's still something, right? Um, let's see what else do they do to the class tree. I think that's it, right? They changed some icons, right? They changed the meta for our icon. That's fine. Oh no, they added this talent, right? This choice node, Gale Winds and Incessant Tempest. What this does is, with if you pick Gale Winds, increases the typhoon radius by 20% and its range by 5 yards, so you just have a bigger typhoon. And then the Tempest reduces the cooldown by 5 seconds, right? So it makes a Typhoon 25-second cooldown instead of a 30-second cooldown. Now, because of the way the talent tree works now, you can actually take Typhoon and Vortex again, which has me really, really excited to play because we haven't had this since BFA, right? Because they went away in Shadowlands, so we went a whole expansion without being able to have both of these. And I think both of these makes tanking dungeons 100% easier because you just have more ways to kite, more ways to control the mobs, right? So that's going to be interesting. Plus, it'll allow you to take Innervate, so you can Innervate your healer if things are getting hairy, which is interesting. If you wanted, you don't actually have to take Innervate, but you could. So I'll go through like a build on what I'm thinking about playing once these go live. After we talk about the Guardian Tree, because the Guardian Tree, ooh, this is nice. So they moved some things around, right? They moved Blood Frenzy down here now. This is a little harder to get to, which is fine. They added some new talents. We have a returning talent, and like I said, they took Ursine Adept off of our tree finally, and it's passive now. They moved improved survival over here, which is fine. You're probably still almost never gonna take it, but it's there if you want it. What else did they do? They moved Flashing Claws way down here, so it's a little harder to take. Unless you're like heavy spec'd into Thrash, which is what this side would be, right? So maybe that's the thing. So new things that they added. New things that they added. We got Raise. That is a new ability. So it costs 40 rage. So it's just like, just like Maul in that same aspect where it's like you either press your defensive in Iron Fur or you press your offensive in Raise or Maul. Raise is more of a AoE ability, right? You don't really like pressing Maul in AoE, but Raise will give you like a frontal cone that deals physical damage to everything in front of you, right? Deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets. I think it's fine. I don't think you'll use it a lot. Um, Actually, I don't. Maybe you use it in. No, I can't even think of like a raid fight where you'd use that over Maul. Uh, just because there's not a lot that buffs it, and Maul has a bunch of like talents right up here still that buff it, so you probably just use Maul in single target. Not only that, there's also another talent on this side of the tree, which we'll get to in a bit, but I don't know if you can actually use that talent with Maul, like with the Maul build. You might be able to actually. Uh what else? So I guess we'll just hop over to that one. So Moonless Night, right? So when you cast a single target ability on an enemy affected with Moonfire, it causes them to take like burn for an additional 10% arcane damage. So this increases our single target damage. In raid, not only raid, but also in dungeons as well, right? Because like tyrannical weeks, or like maybe there's just like one big like priority mob, put Moonfire on it, you mangle it, it'll deal more damage to it. Not only that, in Fury of Nature, we deal increased arcane damage. Alun's Favored, we deal increased arcane damage. So we have, 3 talent points right here that'll just buff this damage, which I think is really cool. The next new thing is Thorns of Iron. This is what I'm really excited for, right? So this makes pressing Iron Fur just a damage cooldown as well. Not cooldown, but it turns Iron Fur from purely defensive into offensive as well, offensive and defensive, right? And the more Iron Fur you press, the more damage it does, I'm assuming, because it deals damage equal to 30% of our armor, right? And if you play Guardian Druid, which I'm assuming people watching this do, you know that at some point you stop pressing Iron Fur because you're already armor capped, right? Especially if you get in those big pulls and you're like thrashing and you have Blood Frenzy to get a bunch of rage, and you have Soul of the Forest, which has a bunch of rage, right? And Circle Life and Death increases the tick rate of your thrash, so it gives you more rage, and you just have so much rage that you're armor capped. So I think this is going to be an all-star. They're probably going to have to nerf it. I'm assuming they're going to have to nerf it, but right now this is probably the strongest talent on the tree, and I think by far. That yeah, I saw that, and somebody in my like guild Discord was like, this looks like a sleeper talent, and I was like, that's not, no, there's nothing sleeper about that. That talent's going to be ridiculous, and they're probably gonna have to nerf it. So we'll see. Moving on, we have a returning talent in Lunar Beam. So Lunar Beam has been notoriously undertuned for as long as it was in the game before they removed it. It was just so undertuned. It's got a weird cooldown, right? It's like 1.25 minutes, right? That's weird. So it's like a 75-second cooldown. Like, that's fine. But with these new talents, again, Fury of Nature and Alun's Favored, buffing arcane damage, this might actually be worth taking in dungeons. You're probably never going to take it in raid. Maybe. There might be some niche scenarios where you take it. The healing's probably meh, like it probably doesn't really matter. It might actually be really big. But the damage the damage aspect of it's going to be really big. Now, Lunar Beam does, when you press it, it stays in wherever you, like the point where you press it on, that's where it stays for the 8 seconds. So you don't want to really move out of it for, new druids who haven't actually played with Lunar Beam. It's basically you're going to press it and you're going to stand still for 8 seconds while it does damage and heals you, right? Because it stays in place. So I think with the new talents, with Fear of Nature and Elun's Favored, this actually might be really good. Just because it does more arcane damage. And that's kind of the theme of this side of the tree is you just do a bunch of arcane damage, right? And this is your thrash side with some mall stuff up here. So yeah, let's walk through a build. So this is what I'm thinking for when this goes live. This is what I'm thinking for my dungeon build. Also, I guess I forgot to talk about this. They added swipe at level 10. All druids learn swipe. So this is improved swipe. So this I know it says it increases the damage, but what it does is put the damage back up to what it is now on the tree. So that way other druids don't, if you're, I don't know, Boomkin and you have to go on this side, you can swipe as Boomkin if you don't have this talent, but it doesn't do as much damage as if you do. Right. So yeah, let's do a build. So normally, this is pretty much what I'm looking at. I'm probably gonna go down Boomkin side. They move Star Surge over here, so you don't have to take it. You do have to take Sunfire, which you'll probably never use, because you're not gonna take the AoE part of it. But it'll be something that you have. You can Boomkin Weave if you want for single target. We do take Astral Influence. I'm gonna go over here for Typhoon because I want Typhoon, and I'm probably gonna take Tempest. The reason why I'm picking Tempest over the range and the radius is because I feel like in some dungeons that might get you in trouble, right? Depending on how large it is, you could accidentally Typhoon something into another pack. And I'd rather not do that. I'd rather have more control over where I'm Typhooning and how the range that I'm used to it going. Plus, a 25-second Typhoon sounds really cool. I just like Typhoon. I like pressing it. So yeah, we're going to here. We take our kick, take Thick Hide. I still don't like that Thick Hide's in here, but that's fine. We have to take Soothe. I'm taking Matted Fur. Where else are we right now? What point did I not take? Stampeding Roar. I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, I didn't take these for the increased magic damage, which again will buff this. Will buff all of your Moonfire stuff. So yeah, you just have to take that. I'm so excited. I get to take Vortex again. Oh, I feel so good. Take Lycarias. We take Incap Roar. So we're gonna have a good amount of CC, which is really good. And then you have 1 point where you can kind of flex where you want. You could take Heart of the Wild if you want. I'm most likely gonna take Innervate, just because it'll help my healer out, give me another support button that I can just toss on my healer when I know that this is a spicy pull. They can just spam their biggest heals and stuff like that. Just to kind of be more supporty, because that's kind of the tank I like. I like when Druid is a supporty utility kind of tank where they just have a ton of things that they can do to support the group, which is why I think I like After the Wildfire so much. So yeah, so then we go to Druid Tree. It's kind of the standard build that most people are taking, right? You're not going to take Friend of the Pack. You're not going to take Infected Wounds. Not in dungeons, especially there's no need for Infected Wounds when you have Typhoon and Vortex again. So, or you could take Mass Entanglement if you need to. There's no more Necrotic. So I don't know if you'll necessarily need Typhoon. Oh, not Typhoon. Mass Entanglement, but there could be some niche situations where you're just yeah, I kind of want that. You're not going to take Ursox Endurance. Sorry, it's stumbling over my words today. Right? They did nerf Reinvigoration. Right? Because it was higher than 20%. But that's okay. I think that's perfectly fine. Now this is this is where we get into some spiciness with me, right? So you'll see druids a lot, whether you go to the Dream Grove Discord or whether you go to the forums or wherever you ask. Druids will opt to take Incarn because they're probably just so used to playing it. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary now because we're not going Ursox Fury, right? Because they nerfed it. So we're not doing that playstyle that we have in Shadowlands and a little bit in BFA. I mean, we didn't have Ursox Fury in BFA, but you still kind of were like the 3-minute Incarn build kind of class. I don't think it's necessary anymore, which is why I opt to go to Earth Warden and After the Wildfire, because I think it adds more to the group. And you kind of just, you can do more as a tank and you can help your healer out a lot more, which allows them to do damage, right? Because right now we're seeing on live right now in Dragonflight that like healers actually have to heal, right? They don't really do, they're not doing that much damage, which is why you're seeing like Evoker and Resto Druid being like the quote unquote best healers right now, because they can heal and do damage at the same time, right? Resto Druid being able to, if you're cat weaving, which most should be, if you're trying to do high stuff, most are cat weaving, where they can do a lot of damage in between their heals, right? Because they have a bunch of hots. And Evokers just do a bunch of damage while they're healing, right? Because you just need the damage. So if you allow your healer to do more damage, because one, they don't have to worry about you, right? Because tanks did get a nerf to their defensive, right? We all got roughly about 10% nerf. I think if you can help your healer out, then they can add more damage to the key, right? And you're not necessarily losing damage either with not taking Incarn, especially in this new tree, because you'll have Thorns of Iron, you have Ridge of Sleeper, right? You have Twin Moonfire, you'll take Galactic Guardian. I'm also probably gonna take Lunar Beam. And then you have this extra point. So this extra point, now you can either take Soul of the Forest, right, which will give you more rage. You can take Moonless Night, or you can take Blood Frenzy. I think for most weeks, probably like fortified weeks, I'm gonna take Blood Frenzy, just because it'll give me more rage. I think tyrannical weeks, I'll take Moonless Night because it'll give me more damage on the bosses. I think that's where I'm going. I think Moonless Night will be more value than Soul of the Forest more often than not. But this is probably the build that I'm going to go with, just kind of in my head right now without testing. I think this will be, at least for my playstyle, right? I don't have to rely on a 3-minute cooldown. I can pull more aggressively because I have shorter cooldowns. Berserk will turn into a defensive rather than an offensive cooldown, right? Because Incarn kind of makes it an offensive one. I'm going to use it more of a defensive one because of persistence, where I just have free frenzy regeneration during it. What else? And then, yeah, you get the whole Moonfire package. You get Circle Life and Death, so you do more damage with your Moonfires. You get After the Wildfire, so you're just like healing everybody, because I'm sure you guys have played with it. After Wildfire does a ton of healing. It is ridiculous. Lunar Beam, again, I want to test it, but with the, roughly 30%, what's it, 30% increase? Yeah, 30% increased arcane damage. I think this is actually going to do a lot of damage. The healing might be like not as much, but the damage is definitely going to be good, which is kind of what you want, right? You also have Rage of Sleeper, which is, we all know, very good cooldown, right? And now it turns you into a shorter, kind of more aggressive class, well, more aggressive tank, where you're kind of pulling roughly every like minute or so. You want to pull a good amount of mobs, maybe 2 or 3 packs, right? You also have Brambles, which does a little bit of damage, but I mean, it does do some more damage, right? Um, yeah, and then Survival of the Fittest will put your bark skin down. So yeah, I think this is the build I'm gonna play. It's a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more kind of like pull, maybe better with like a lot of classes that have shorter cooldowns. I'm thinking like monk, like Windwalker monks, rogues, maybe enhancement, cool, like enhancement shaman. I don't know. So yeah, I guess that's it. That's kind of all I got today. I just wanted to put out a video kind of talking about the tree, and then do look for Zero to Hero, Zero to Keystone Hero. I think that's what I'm calling it. It's tentative. Those videos should start going up Monday. I'm not sure how long I want to make the videos, if I want to record it multiple keys per video or just one key per video. I'm not entirely sure. I'll figure that out. We're probably going to start recording that today. And yeah, that's kind of all I got. So I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. Look forward to bear buffs. Bear's gonna be good once this comes out. It's gonna be real good. So have a nice night, have a nice day, have a nice weekend, and keep thrashing.